Hello, everyone, and welcome to Locker Talk, episode 35. This is the live reaction show to NXT TakeOver London. I am your host, Koltyn, joining you once again for another special live episode of WWE Locker Talk. We just got done with live reaction show to NXT TakeOver London. I am your host, Koltyn. Well, now that we know the delay that the video stream has, let's move on, shall we? So London NXT. This is obviously a heavily touted, um, highly anticipated show for NXT. The first time going overseas. Of course, they go overseas before they come anywhere near me because why should I have nice things? But I'm not going to be bitter on the show. Okay, maybe I will be bitter on the show. I don't know why, but I'm feeling a bit bitter today. So, a lot of anticipation. First off, we're going to start off with the NXT pre-show. And if you follow our good friends, Andy and Emma, over on RTM Wrestling, which you should do, follow them on Twitter at RTM Wrestling. Subscribe to their amazing YouTube show on YouTube, also at RTM Wrestling. They were doing what they were calling a squash match challenge, and the loser had to wear what is considered a terrible t-shirt to NXT London. As you can see, this is an example of something that is not a terrible t-shirt. And so, unfortunately for Andy, he lost the squash match challenge and had to wear a Nikki Bella t-shirt to NXT TakeOver. And so, if you watch the pre-show, you see Kyle Edwards out in front of the crowd. You see this bearded, beautiful-looking man wearing this horrendous Fearless t-shirt, and I just wanted to commend you, Andy, on going through with it and for being a man of your word. And also, you look so stupid. I can't wait to hear your experiences from that show, Andy and Emma. I hope you all had a wonderful time. It sounds like the crowd seemed to be into it a little bit tonight. They came alive a couple times during the show that I can remember. But yeah, let's dig right into this. We start off the night with our first match, which was Asuka against Emma, and a nice shout out to our other good friend Steven Sorrell, who is, I'm sure, cheering strongly and valiantly for Emma in this match. But sadly, it was just not enough. This was a really good match. I enjoyed this match quite a bit. All the matches on this show were good matches. First off, I like to say I loved Emma's sunglasses coming out. I like those. Those are very good looking. It was mentioned on me that her lipstick also looked good. I didn't quite notice that, but good job there too, I guess. This was a good match. It proves that what some thought that the women's division in NXT was going to decline drastically after the loss of Charlotte and Sasha Banks and Becky, that these girls can still go. And Asuka, as we all know, is an amazing wrestler, and as is Emma, as we all know that she had one of the first really big women's matches against Paige for the women's championship in NXT many moons ago. And they put on a great match. Both of them did. Both women should be commended. Those kicks are absolutely hellacious. I would not want to be on the receiving end of either of those kicks from Asuka. Any of those reverse wrist or arm hitty face thingies that she does. Hitty face thingies. Get that trending on Twitter. Hashtag hitty face thingies. And yeah, it was a really good match. I thought it was a good start. I didn't anticipate this starting the show, but it's good to see that we had two impactful women's matches on the same card, and both of them meant something, and both of them had a story. And so, at least with NXT, the Divas division, I will not call it a revolution because gross is just stupid, but a really good starting match. I enjoyed a lot. The next match, however, was the Dawson and Wilder against Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy. Now, this is one of the matches that I was super excited for. Uh, we all love Cass and Enzo, and I also think the Mechanics are a great team. They're a great old school tag team wrestling team, and they know how to perform in tag team wrestling. And they're just these hard-nosed guys who they just go out there and they beat you up. They don't do anything fancy. They don't do anything flashy. Although some would consider, myself included, that finisher is a thing of absolute beauty. And so I was really, really excited for this match. London obviously loves Cass and Enzo. However, I would argue I feel like personally they got a bigger reaction in Brooklyn. That's just me. You can obviously argue that. You'd obviously have to compare the two side by side. But I thought that Brooklyn had popped a little bit more and were a little more excited, specifically for Enzo and Cass. Obviously not for the whole show. They were on a different level for the whole show, which we'll get to later. But yeah, this match was really, really good. I got, first off, I picked every match on the card correctly, which is a very rare thing for me to do. It helps when there's only 5 matches, which I thought was a little bit short. But once again, not going to complain. But man, this match was fun. The ending was fantastic. The false finish they did with both Splash from Enzo and Dawson pulling him out of the ring, and Carmella hitting him, which should have been a disqualification, but I guess the referee, I guess if we're going kayfabe, the referee thought that this match was important enough not to warrant a disqualification. And overall, the match was really good. But once again, Enzo and Big Cass come up short of winning the big match. And that seems to be their MO a little bit. They've never pulled off winning that big match to win the NXT tag team titles. And so I just wonder where they go from here. Do they continue to go against Dawson and Wilder, which are great matches, but you know the NXT tag division is so stacked and so deep. There are all these guys that are hungry for this. You have your Jordan and Gable, you've got the Hype Bros, you've got the Vaudevillains, and plus Wilder and Dawson and Big Cass and Enzo. And so there's so many different ways that they could go with this. I've said it before, and I'll say it a billion times over and over until it happens. I need to see Enzo and Cass on the main roster now. I need to see them feuding with the New Day. It would be the greatest thing ever. Everyone would love it. It would make Vince a lot of money. And so that needs to be happen because obviously they're at a bit of a stalemate here in NXT, although they definitely turned it up within this last week, becoming a little bit more serious. But I really want to see these guys go onto the main roster, partially because I feel like I have a better chance of seeing a main roster show than an NXT show, because it seems that no matter where they announce that they're going, it is nowhere near where the hell I am, which I'm still a little bitter about once again, but we'll move on. So I like this match. To me, it was really close. This might be, I think this was my favorite match of the night. I think for me, it squeaked over Balor and Joe, which is another fantastic match. I don't know. There's something about this match I enjoyed a lot more. The crowd was really into it. Speaking of the crowd, we obviously have to go there. The singing of Hey Jude and turning it into Hey Cass was really enjoyable. That's one of my more favorites chants for the night. I saw from a Twitter, I don't remember who exactly it was, but I'm sure it's someone who has many more followers than I. But they said that if they can do that, why can't they do That's Amore for Enzo, which would have been absolutely perfect. I need somebody to get on that, somebody to write that lyric for that classic Dean Martin song, because who doesn't love that song? Let's be honest. If you don't, you are soft. So really, really good match. We move on to Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews. I wanted Corbin to win this match, and I'm glad that he did. This was a hard-hitting match, and it's a broken record, but all of these matches were good. This was another good match. And I was happy to see Corbin win. I don't know where they go from here. I think it would make the most sense for him to have a major, like a big feud with Finn Balor for the NXT Championship before he moves up to the main roster. I think he's close to being main roster status. He's not quite there yet. Baron Corbin has come so far in the past year, and he's progressed tremendously. And I really like the guy. I liked him from day one, and so it's really cool to see for me, where he's going. And I didn't think that Apollo Crews needed this win. He's obviously the new guy. He's this new hot star, and obviously we all know that the winless streak, or winning streak doesn't really end well for anyone. Just ask our good friend Mr. Ruru about that. And so it's good for me for Crews to eat a win here. It'll be fun to see where they move on from here. Speaking of moving on, let us move on here to Bayley against Nia Jax. And God, I hate saying this, but this might have been my least favorite match. I was not impressed by this match. As you all know, I love Bayley with all my heart and soul, and she's my absolute favorite person ever, other than J.K. Rowling, because you can't usurp the queen. But I just cannot bring myself to give a damn about Nia Jax. Yes, she is unique, but I don't like her in-ring ability. They all say she moves quickly and is very athletic, but I've yet to see it. She does the Samoan drop more than Roman Reigns. She does that, and she does the little leg drop that's not as good as Becky Lynch. And I don't know, I'm just not impressed with her. And to me, obviously, Bayley was going to win this match. There was really no other way for her to. She couldn't lose the title this quickly after all that momentum that she gained in winning it and defeating Sasha Banks. And this obviously was never going to be as good as those two matches. There's no possible way for it to be as good as that. But the booking of this match confused me a bit. I mean, I understand it made sense that Nia Jax kept beating the crap out of Bayley, and Bayley kept, coming back from that. That's what a baby face does. As much as people like to complain about, like, oh well, they get beat up for the whole match, they hit their finisher and they win the match. It's what a baby face does. That's just how this business works, and I see people complain about all the time, but that's just the way things go. But it kept happening, and Bayley kept going for these what are normally just regular submissions that are usually used as a wrestle. I mean, the guillotine was obviously a little bit more than that, but I just found it really weird that Nia Jax tapped out in this, her first really big match in NXT. I mean, if she's being built up as this big monster, I don't think she should. I mean, I'm fine with her losing, obviously, but I don't think she should be tapping out if you want to see her as this big monster, for quite a while. That kind of goes against the whole big monster thing. I mean, I obviously didn't want her to win, but I just thought there could be a better way to do this. I mean, we all want a great match, but I feel like this could be one where it could end in a disqualification, or something could happen. Nothing happened on this show is what kind of bugs me. It really was it was basically like a taped house show. No championships changed hands. Nobody interfered in any matches. They didn't set up anything moving forward. And so I'm going to be quite honest with people, and I know this is gonna ruffle some feathers. It's gonna be an unpopular opinion, but to me, this was the worst takeover that we've ever had. It was a short card. Like, don't get me wrong, all the matches were good, but it's just that we have come to expect such great things from NXT, and especially from TakeOver. And so I feel like, to me, this week as a whole is a week of expectations. Everybody had low expectations for TLC and for Raw, and they outperformed that by a mile. And so everyone loved that. But to me, I was obviously expecting a great show. And while it was a good show, don't get me wrong, we're not saying it was bad. but there was nothing exciting that happened. There's nothing that jumped out to you that made this show special compared to just any other NXT show that we get at Full Sail every Wednesday night. And so I don't know. It's just nothing big happened. We didn't see, we didn't see an interference in a match. We didn't see, like for this match, you could have had Eva Marie come out. Thank God it didn't happen. They kind of set up something with Asuka and Nia Jax, which I assume would be her next feud, and so we don't know where that leaves Bayley. But to me, just nothing happened, and I asked Farmer about this. As you know, Farmer, a great contributor to the show, and he said that as well. No spectacular spots. And there was a lack of what he calls cool moments happening outside of a match anywhere on the card was disappointing. And I have to agree with that. Nothing cool happened other than just the matches that really drew me in. And so to me, I was disappointed in the show. I'm sorry if you disagree with that, but that's what's great about wrestling. We can agree and disagree and fight and beat the hell out of each other, or have our favorite guys or gals beat the heck out of each other to see who is dominant in the end. And that's what's great about it. So we get to the main event match, which we were all really excited for. Balor against Joe, two of the best wrestlers in the business. Like, bar none, you can't argue this. And so that's what they did. Man, this match was really fast paced. There was really no rest box. They just kind of went full bore through the whole match, and that was a lot of fun to see. But once again, I don't know, there's just something about it where I just wasn't completely into this entire show, and I don't know what it was. But once again, it was a fantastic match, a lot of fun. Two real quick issues with Balor. It's a demon entrance. He's obviously portraying Jack the Ripper, and so that's where my problem lies. The first one, at the beginning of his entrance, you hear that woman scream, as they played in Terror. Jack the Ripper coming to kill her. Is that really the image that we want to portray the top babyface of the brand as being? Do we want him being a psychopathic, serial killer who makes women scream, not in the way that Balor normally makes women scream? It didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Yeah, it was really cool. His demon entrances are always cool. They're always upping the ante for that. But it just didn't make a whole lot of sense to me for Balor to be portraying this, obviously such a notorious character. And so that didn't make a lot of sense to me. The match was great. To me, really, this match and I'm losing it tonight, folks. This one and the Corbin Apollo Crews match, those are the two matches I thought that they might go two different ways. Those are the two that I weren't completely sure about. I was fairly sure about the rest of the card. But these two I thought could go either way. I picked Balor to win, obviously, because he said multiple times he wants to stay in NXT for a while. And while everyone wants him to go to the main roster, everyone wants him to debut at the Royal Rumble, I think he is perfectly happy staying in NXT. And the way they're treating Tyler Breeze, he might want to stay. If you haven't heard or read or watched SmackDown yet, just go watch SmackDown and you'll know what I'm talking about. It's kind of disappointing. I don't obviously care that much about SmackDown, so I'll read the spoilers as they come up. And so I was a little saddened by what's happening to Tyler Breeze, and I must admit I am rather frightened for the King of Cuteville. But yeah, I don't know what it was. There was just something about the show. I wasn't completely into it. Maybe the fact that it was just weird, the fact that it was in the middle of the afternoon, the fact that I just finished my last finals, which I was extremely excited about. It could be the expectations of a great show and TLC obviously exceeding expectations. Whatever it was, the crowd, maybe it probably wasn't the crowd. Obviously the crowd was great, except I couldn't understand what they were saying half the time. I had to look at Twitter to see what people with better, more British ears than I were understanding from that. And yeah, I mean, it was a good show. Like, don't get me wrong, but we expect more when it comes to NXT and TakeOver. And so to me, it was a disappointment in that aspect. Nothing exciting happened. We're obviously getting Sami Zayn's return next week that was recorded tonight. A few other matches were recorded tonight that we'll see next week. So I'm excited to see those. But we didn't really get anything big and exciting happening. You know, we've had Sasha and Bayley. Those are just two epic matches that happened that speak for themselves. Before that, it was, I believe, it was Kevin Owens putting Sami Zayn out to pasture for a while. And before that, it was Kevin Owens beating Sami Zayn, which was really big. Before that, it was the emotional high of Zayn beating Neville. And just all these things that happened before, they had big moments. And to me, nothing big happened on this NXT. And so I'm just beating a dead horse here, but those are my thoughts. If you want, give me your thoughts in the comments below, right down here. If you like this show for whatever reason, this obviously, don't judge this whole show just on this one show. This is definitely not our best. Speaking of that, I want to thank everyone who watched my live TLC show, one of our highest viewed shows ever. And so that's really all I have. Our next viewing is going to be an amazing show. It's going to be a huge show. Matt will be back. Don't worry. The old sunglass wearing, main event having son of an unnamed goat known as the main event Matt will be back. We're going to be doing a fun Locker Talk version of the Slammy Awards. We don't have a cute name. We're just doing our year in review show. And so we want to get your thoughts on that. So go either on Twitter or in the comments below here. And we want to know your superstar of the year, your woman of the year, not divas. We're not using that term anymore. It's a derogatory term. We shouldn't say it. Match of the year, pay-per-view of the year, rivalry of the year, moment of the year. I'm sure I'm missing a few. So if you just want to give your, this is the best of this of the year, throw that in there as well, and we will read your tweets or your comments out on that show, which will probably be coming sometime maybe a little bit after Christmas. So we will see you then. Also on that show, we will be doing, I know you've been waiting for it, who is the superstar of the WWE? Who is the top guy? Who is the big kahuna? John Cena or Randy Orton? Matt and I, we're going to duke it out. We're going to give our points of view on that subject. And then we're going to give you the greatest ladder matches ever. Not all the big ones that you think, not the TLC matches of years gone, but other great matches. And I think we might have to add that one from this recent TLC between the New Day and those other two teams, which I temporarily forgot, the Lucha Dragons and the Usos. We might have to add that because that's a great match. So look forward to that super mega awesome show. Get in your comments for your superstar year, match of the year, all this fun stuff that everybody seems to be doing. And yeah, that's really all I have. Thank you again for everyone for watching. I hope you all have a great day and a very Merry Christmas.